Hello from Kingfisher, Oklahoma. Today we're going to look at 6 things from Deuteronomy 33 and 34. First, before he dies and the children of Israel go into the promised land, Moses is going to recite a blessing over the children of Israel. 2, the King James Version says saints, but possibly the Hebrew word here, and we'll get to it, is holy ones or angels. So perhaps when God was giving the law, there were angels there with him to witness it. Number 3, Moses is blessing them, and we'll see he's doing it tribe by tribe. He names the tribes as he goes and gives each a special little blessing there. 4, yesterday we had dragons in our verses. Today we're going to have unicorns. Again, King James translates 9 times the word unicorn. It kind of weirds us out a little bit. But this comes from the Septuagint Greek translation of the Old Testament. And the word there is mono, meaning one, and horn. So what it exactly is it the horse with the horn like we picture? Is it a rhinoceros with one horn? Is it some sort of dinosaur? Put it in the comments. Number 5, Moses then climbs the mountain as God commands him to do and gets to see the promised land. Hey, this is where this tribe's going to go. This is where this tribe's going to go. And look at all this land. And so he at least gets to see it. He did 40 years of leading them. He had this mistake where he didn't give God the glory and do it God's way. He did it his own way, and as a consequence, he's not allowed to go into the promised land. But he gets to see it. That's a blessing. Then, number 6, he dies, just as God says. Now, we've had Moses for 4 books, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and now Deuteronomy. Moses is 120 years old. He's in great health. But it's the end. It's the end of an era, and he's got to pass the leadership on to Joshua. So let's look at it. Chapter 33. And this is the blessing wherewith Moses, the man of God, blesses the children of Israel before his death. And he said, The Lord came from Sinai and rose up on Seir unto them, and he shined forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000s of saints. Or angels? You can look it up in the Hebrew and let me know. From his right hand went a fiery law for them. Yea, he loved the people. All the saints are in thy hand, and he sat down at thy feet. Every one shall receive of thy words. Moses commanded us a law, even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob. And he was king in Jeshurun when the heads of the people and the tribes of Israel were gathered together. Let Reuben live and not die, and let not his men be few. Pretty straightforward. And this is the blessing of Judah. And he said, Hear, Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him, and be thou a help to him from his enemies. And of Levi he said, Let thy Thummim and Urim be with thy Holy One. So Thummim and Urim, they were kind of like, they could cast a lot. I don't know, it was a 2-sided little wooden piece that they could cast to determine what God was saying to them. So, there you go. Let thine Thummim and Urim be with thy Holy One, whom thou didst prove at Massah, and with whom thou didst strive at the waters of Meribah, and who said unto his father and to his mother, I have not seen him, neither did he acknowledge his brethren, nor knew his own children, for they have observed thy word and kept thy covenant. They shall teach Jacob thy judgments, and Israel thy law. That's the job of the Levites. They shall put incense before thee, and the whole burnt sacrifice upon thine altar. Bless, Lord, his substance, and accept the work of his hands. Smite through the loins of them that rise up against him, and of them that hate him, that they rise not. And of Benjamin he said, The beloved of the Lord shall dwell in safety by him, and the Lord shall cover him all the day long, and he shall dwell between his shoulders. And of Joseph he said, Now, for our keen-eared readers, notice it says Joseph. And Joseph is not one of the tribes. He actually has two sons that will be the tribes, but we'll get there. You'll see. And of Joseph he said, "Bless the Lord be his hand, for a precious things of heaven, for the dew, and for the deep that couches beneath, and for the precious fruit that brought forth by the sun, and for the precious things put forth by the moon, and for the chief things of the ancient mountains, and the precious things of the lasting hills, and for the precious things of the earth and the fullness thereof, and for good will of him that dwelt in the bush. Let the blessings come upon the head of Joseph, upon the top of the head of him that was separated from his brethren." That's a reference to Joseph's actual story. He was separated into Egypt. "His glory is like the firstling of the bullock, and his horns are like the horns of the unicorns. With them he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth, and they are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and they are the 10,000s of Manasseh." There you go. Those are the two tribes. "And of Zebulun he said, Rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going out, and Issachar in thy tents. They shall call the people of the mountain. They shall call the people unto the mountain. There they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness, for they shall suck of the abundance of the seas, and of the treasures hid in the sand. And of Gad he said, Blessed be all that enlargeth Gad. He dwelleth as a lion, and teareth the arm with the crown of the head. And he provided the first part for himself, because there in a portion of the lawgiver he was seated. And he came with the heads of the people, and he executed the justice of the Lord, and his judgments with Israel. And of Dan he said, Dan is a lion's whelp, and shall leap from Bashan. And of Naphtali he said, O Naphtali, satisfied with favor and full of the blessing of the Lord, possess thou the west and the south. And of Asher he said, Let Asher be blessed with children. Let him be acceptable to his brethren, and let him dip his foot in oil. Thy shoe shall be iron and brass, and as thy days, so shall thy strength be. There is none like unto the God of Jeshurun, who rideth upon the heaven in thy help, and in his excellency on the sky. The eternal God is thy refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms, and he shall thrust out the enemy from before thee, and shall say, Destroy them. Israel then shall dwell in safety alone. The fountain of Jacob shall be upon a land of corn and wine. Also his heaven shall drop down dew. Happy art thou, O Israel! Who is like unto thee, O people saved by the Lord? The shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellency? And thine enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. Chapter 34. And Moses went up from the plains of Moab to the mountain of Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, which is covered against Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan, and all of Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah to the uttermost sea, and the south, and the plain of the valley of Jericho, and the city of palm trees, unto Zoar. And the Lord said unto him, This is the land which I swear unto Abraham, unto Isaac and to Jacob, saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have caused thee to see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not go thither. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord. And he buried him in the valley of the land of Moab, over against Beth Peor. But no man knoweth of his sepulchre unto this day. So no one knows exactly where he died. And Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. He was in good health. And the children of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days. So the days of weeping and mourning for Moses were ended. And Joshua, the son of Nun, was full of the spirit of wisdom. For Moses had of Israel hearkened unto him, and did as the Lord commanded Moses. And there arose not a prophet since in Israel like unto Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. Remember, he used to sit with him and talk, and his countenance, his face, would just glow. In all the signs and the wonders which the Lord sent him to do in the land of Egypt, to Pharaoh, to all his servants, and to all his land, and in all that mighty hand, and all that great terror which Moses showed in the sight of all Israel. Well, there you go, friends. That wraps up Deuteronomy. We're going to be plunging into Joshua tomorrow, kind of a new phase for the children of Israel. We'll catch you next time.